is imperative at this juncture to note that since the adoption of the SDGs in 2015, Lagos has ambitiously moved to pursue this transformative global agenda with every vigor it deserves. We have actively promoted localization of the SDGs by being the first state in Nigeria to establish the Office of SDGs as a cabinet office and incorporating the framework of So, for our SDG champions and our MDAs that are here today, we have our themes agenda in Lagos. We also have the SDGs that are closely linked with the themes agenda. In fact, our themes agenda is an SDG agenda. But I'll give an example that when we're measuring, we now want to measure as SDG. We don't want to measure how many schools were built. We want to measure how the enrollment increased and what that meant for that community. So these are some of the things that we need to then think about. The establishment of civic engagement initiatives and platforms such as the Lagos State Volunteer Corps and the Lagos SDG Youth Alliance has enabled citizens to become active participants in governance. We have equally institutionalized SDGs in learning institutions and built cross-sectional partnerships for all the goals.
What we call the momentum case, right? And by trying to forecast the impact of a lot of the current initiatives, we're able to then determine what the gap would then be to make sure that by 2030, across the prioritized SDGs, Lagos is on track. And then that way, we could then define a set of actions to make sure that Lagos is executing the current things that are in the pipeline, and then over and above that, making sure that we're being tailored as to what is being prioritized to get us to the SDG goals. And that's what we need in step 5. In addition to that, was in articulating within the ecosystem of actors in the SDG, what roles do different actors have to play to make sure that the plan is delivered. And
on migration, right? We increasingly see skilled labor imbalance due to migration. We have a lot of unskilled labor coming into the state at the time, overburdening resources, and we are seeing emigration of skilled workers. So this is creating an imbalance that we need to address going forward. Then we have a youth bulge. We're very young and vibrant demographic. So we need to also make sure that in our solutions, we're taking care of the youth in our solutions. Then there's budgetary constraints, right? Resources are limited. It also points to the fact that we can't do everything and we need to prioritize. What we've done for Lagos State is to prioritize the highest impact SDGs that Lagos is best well positioned to accelerate in the decade of action. And we've taken 2 lenses to this, to shortlisting the SDGs. There's impact and feasibility. On impact, the question we answered there was, which SDGs have a strong multiplier impact effect? And when we say multiplier effect, it means how many more SDGs can you impact?
The essay in her submission said that it would be very instructive for us to find these actions as from an individualistic perspective. Our mom here has also mentioned it, that we need to take ownership regarding the tasks. For us in Nigeria and in Lagos, we're not so far, fingers crossed, we're not of the annex countries that are great contributors for carbon emission. And I think that it's a good time for us to start to create that mentality, the right action, the right attitude to sustain our environment. And that's why, amongst all that has been said, we must not lose the value to share the word within our communities, in our wards, be ambassadors for the right climate action.
VLR, Voluntary Local Review, is going to give the state government, as well as those of us that are at the local level, the opportunity to review the various data and statistics available, so that we can be able to project for future development to affect our people generally. Because when you talk SDG, the 17 goals, if you decide to eradicate poverty, make life meaningful to the people, there is a need for you to constantly review what you are working on, so that you can always project for future advancement.
This voluntary local review is for us to know where we need more work. It's not necessarily to praise ourselves or to do any other thing, but to give yourself a data-driven appraisal as to where you require more work. And therefore, immediately those areas have been identified, and we're still in the middle of the workshop. The next thing is to prioritize them. So it depends on what it is. We've heard today that healthcare is doing very well, but we've also heard today that healthcare should also watch out for the immigration of officers. So that's something that we may need to look at. We've heard about waste management. That's an area that we need to prioritize. So, and the good thing about sustainability is that it's the Sustainability Goal 17 is partnerships. So we look for partnerships to help us in facing some of these challenges. It's not just government. Sustainable Development Goals is everybody. It's community-based, individual-based, and therefore everybody and all hands on deck will come forward to make sure that we meet these goals.
Lagos State has conducted a voluntary local review of the SDGs. It showcases that the city is committed to achieving the SDGs by 2030. And as a starting point is to understand where the state is today, and that has been shared with stakeholders. And the goal is not just to measure the progress that has been made to date, but to make sure that very clear learnings are taken from the work, all the things that have been done. And there's a clear plan that's executable by all stakeholders to enable the state achieve the SDG targets within this decade.